When you reach the age of 65, 70, even 80, the truth is your body no longer operates under the same rules it once did. What you could once get away with in your 30s or 40s, late nights, processed meals, long hours of sitting, ignoring little aches, suddenly carries a weight you can no longer afford to dismiss. The body becomes less forgiving, and habits that once seemed harmless begin to quietly chip away at your health. They don't announce themselves with a loud alarm. They creep in slowly, silently, until one day you wake up weaker, less steady, and more dependent than you ever intended to be. That's why I say to you, the everyday things you do matter more now than ever. Something as simple as sitting for too long can drain the strength from your legs, weaken circulation, and rob you of the independence that defines your later years. It may seem small in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, it is not small at all. It is the difference between walking confidently on your own and depending on someone else to hold you up. And it doesn't stop there. The sugar you treat yourself to, just a little too often, the processed foods you lean on because they're convenient, the water you forget to drink, all of these choices pile up. In youth, the body has the resilience to bounce back, but in later years the margin for error is narrow. The body processes sugar more slowly, toxins linger longer, and recovery takes more effort. What once was just a habit is now a silent thief of vitality. Now let me pause and say this is not about blame, it is about awareness. Because so many people between 65 and 80 live with the belief that decline is inevitable, that this is just old age. They accept the stiffness, the fatigue, the extra medications, as though they are written into destiny. But the reality is, much of this decline is not inevitable, it is preventable. And the habits you choose today can either accelerate that decline or slow it down dramatically. Think about how we often treat our bodies versus how we treat our homes. If a leak starts in the ceiling, you don't just paint over it and ignore the water dripping. You address it before it causes real damage. Yet when our body sends signals, when the legs grow weaker, when the energy fades, we ignore it, hoping it will pass. But the body is like that house. Leave the small cracks unattended, and the structure will eventually falter. So why do habits matter so much more in these years? Because at 65, 70, 80, every choice is magnified. You don't have the same buffer you once had. You cannot live on autopilot anymore. You are in the stage of life where awareness is everything. And that awareness, if embraced, can be the difference between living fully and merely existing. And here's the empowering part: changing these habits does not require perfection. It requires presence. It requires choosing to stand up and walk when you've been sitting too long. Choosing to nourish your body with foods that strengthen instead of weaken. Choosing to drink water, to rest deeply, to listen when your body whispers, instead of waiting for it to scream. Because in truth, the so-called silent killers in old age are not dramatic accidents. They are the everyday routines that wear you down quietly, and the silent healers. They are equally simple. Movement, nourishment, awareness, respect for the body you've been given. So I leave you with this: ask yourself, what small habit in your daily life is stealing from your future? And what small habit could you replace it with that would give your future back? The answer to that question may be the very thing that decides not only how long you live, but how fully you live. One of the greatest dangers in these later years is not simply the habits that harm us, but the way we ignore the signals our bodies are giving. We call it just aging. We shrug off the fatigue, the restless nights, the shortness of breath, the aching legs, the sluggish digestion. We tell ourselves, this is normal for my age. But I want you to think about that for a moment. What if those so-called normal aches and declines are not just old age, but warnings? What if they are the body's way of pleading with us to pay attention before something irreversible happens? The truth is, the body rarely surprises us. It doesn't suddenly collapse without giving some kind of hint first. Long before the fall comes the dizziness. Long before the stroke comes the fatigue, the high blood pressure, the pounding in the head. Long before the fracture comes the weakness in the legs and the stiffness in the joints. The tragedy is not that the body fails, it is that we fail to listen. And why do we ignore these warnings? Sometimes it's fear. We don't want to hear bad news from a doctor, so we avoid going altogether. Sometimes it's pride. We don't want to admit that we are slowing down, so we push the signals aside and keep moving as if nothing is wrong. And sometimes it's simple habit. We have grown so used to discomfort that we stop questioning it. We normalize it. We carry it as though it is simply the price of growing old. But ignoring these signs does not protect us. It places us at greater risk. There is a cost to dismissing what the body is telling us. And that cost is often higher than we realize. What begins as a small warning can grow into a condition that steals not just health, but independence. A fall that could have been prevented with balanced training becomes a hip fracture and months of rehabilitation. A little fatigue that could have been addressed with nutrition or sleep becomes chronic illness. A minor digestive issue left unchecked becomes a serious disease. The cost is not only physical, it is emotional, spiritual, even relational. Because when we lose our health, we lose freedom. We lose moments with family. We lose the chance to live fully in the time we have left. But here is the hopeful side of this truth. When you choose to listen early, when you honor those warnings instead of denying them, you create a path toward healing. That shortness of breath might lead you to discover a heart issue early enough to manage it. That lingering pain might reveal something you can treat before it grows worse. That constant thirst, that sudden fatigue, that change in your skin, when investigated, they become opportunities. Opportunities to extend life, to restore strength, to take back control. It is not weakness to pay attention to your body. It is wisdom. It is not fear to seek help. It is courage. Because knowledge is power. To know what is happening in your body gives you the chance to act, and to act is to take responsibility for your future. Ignoring does not delay the truth. It only allows it to grow in silence. Facing it head-on gives you the gift of choice. So I say to you, do not dismiss the whispers of your body. Do not write off every ache and change as just age. Ask the questions. Seek the answers. Because your health is not just about adding years to life. It is about preserving the quality of those years. And if there is one thought I want you to carry, it is this. Every signal your body gives you is a chance to intervene, a chance to change the story. To ignore it is to surrender your future. To honor it is to protect the life you still have left to live. If there is one truth I want you to embrace, it is this: stopping harmful habits is only half the work. What really transforms your health, your strength, and your quality of life at 60, 5, 70, or 80 is replacing those habits with ones that heal. Because nature abhors a vacuum. If you take something away but put nothing life-giving in its place, the old patterns will return, and so will the decline. Real change comes when you not only let go of what is harming you, but also choose what will build you up in its place. Think about movement. We've already spoken about how sitting too long is a silent killer, weakening your legs and stealing your independence. But the solution is not simply, don't sit. The solution is to replace long hours of sitting with intentional, steady movement. It doesn't have to be extreme. A daily walk around your block, gentle stretching in the morning, light strength exercises with your own body weight. These are simple but powerful habits. They tell your muscles, I still need you. They remind your bones, stay strong. They send your brain the message that you are still fully alive. Every step you take is a declaration that you are choosing vitality over decline. Now think about food. Cutting back on sugar and processed meals is important, yes, but what matters just as much is what you bring into your diet instead. Fresh fruits, leafy greens, lean proteins, beans, nuts. These are foods that don't just fill your stomach, they fuel your life. They give your muscles the protein to repair, your bones the minerals to stay firm, your immune system the power to defend you. Food is not only about survival, it is a form of self-respect. When you choose nourishment, you are saying to yourself, I am worth the effort, my future is worth protecting. And then there is rest. Many people in this age group treat sleep as optional. They stay up late, they wake too early, and they convince themselves that tiredness is simply part of old age. But rest is not a luxury, it is medicine. During sleep, your body repairs what was broken, your mind processes memory, your energy is restored. To neglect it is to rob yourself of healing. So don't just cut out the late night television or the unnecessary scrolling on your phone. Replace it with the sacred ritual of honoring sleep. Treat it as an investment in your future days, because that is exactly what it is. Even stress, which so often goes unnoticed, must be replaced. You cannot simply tell yourself, stop worrying. The mind does not work that way. What you can do is replace worry with practices that anchor you: prayer, meditation, deep breathing, time spent in gratitude. These habits calm the nervous system, lower blood pressure, and create peace inside your body. They do not just add years to life, they add life to your years. And perhaps the most important shift of all is this: replacing isolation with connection. As we age, it is easy to withdraw, to shrink our world. But loneliness is as dangerous to health as smoking or obesity. Replace withdrawal with community, even in small ways. Share meals. Call a friend. Join a group. Engage with the world around you. Human connection strengthens not only the heart but the will to keep going. So when I say stop harmful habits, I don't mean live in avoidance. I mean live in intention. Replace what harms with what heals. Replace what drains you with what restores you. Replace decline with growth. Because the truth is, no matter your age, your body and spirit are always listening. Every habit is a message. And the question is, what are you telling yourself? That you are fading, or that you are still full of life? The choice is yours. But remember this, every habit you choose today is shaping the story of tomorrow. Replace harm with healing, and tomorrow will be brighter, stronger, and more yours to claim.